All right. We are alive. Let's make sure everything is working properly. Let's see. For those who are in here, if you can hear me, let me know. I wonder if YouTube has started this already. Looks like some delay. All right, we have people in here, which means you should be able to hear me. All right, let's let everybody know that we are here. Excellent. How are you, Witchblade? Hope your weekend went great. And everybody else in here. Hey, Juan. I am doing fantastic. Definitely in need of a nap, but excited to be here. Thankfully, I'm just answering questions and not having a full-blown class. We'll start in about 4 or 5 minutes. Let everybody join in. Where did I post this? All right. Sweet. I'm glad you can hear me, Pat. All right. And let's let them know. And I think that should be it. Anybody else that I'm missing? Let's post it in here too. All right. We'll give it about 3 minutes before we officially start, and then we'll go into the good stuff. Today's class might go over an hour because there's a good amount of questions, and there's a lot to go over. Let me bring up my questions, actually. Where are these questions? Divine to the moon? Definitely divine to the moon. All right. Where did I put these questions? Let's go here. Hey, Jamari. Glad to have you with us. How's everybody's weekend? How's everybody's Sunday, Saturday? Either one. AK for life. I was thinking I might make this setup a little more, I don't want to use the word presentable, but maybe make it like fancy with the fancy color lighting like those YouTube people. This light over here is pretty harsh. And as one of my passions of being a cinematographer, maybe a videographer is more in line, this light is way too harsh. Something to make a little more appealing to the viewers for you guys. Sorry, will this answer any questions about stock splits or just basic trading? Juan, any question is valid. Anything is fine. Turn your exposure down. Yeah, I was thinking about that as well, Cameron. I gotta see like the settings. I'm not sure if I can mess with them on YouTube or just the webcam, because I'm just using like the webcam off my MacBook. So I'll probably have to mess with that as well. Because like like I mentioned, like, I'm a photographer and do other things outside from trading and coaching. And that bothers me as a, creative, to say the least. I might get like a light bar or something. Just nothing too bright because my eyes get a little sensitive to bright light in the nighttime. Because normally, let me see if I have this. Normally at nighttime, when I'm not on the internet, I'm wearing these. It looks ridiculous, but it helps. These are my Mr. Freeze or Dr. Freeze glasses that just like cut down the exposure like to the light. So, you know, I don't get so much, what's the word? I don't get too much bright light in my eyes at nighttime. Anyway, all right, we will start. West Feller, I will look at your comment in a few moments, but we'll start officially. So, welcome everybody. For those who are new here, my name is Advent. I am not a financial advisor. Anything that we go over in today's class or any of my content is not to be taken as financial advice. This is simply educational purposes only. Trading does have its risks, so please do your research before you engage in trading. For those who are new to the Let's Learn series, essentially what we do in these classes is you can literally ask me anything. It doesn't matter. It can go from basics. It can go from like, I think, I forgot who mentioned it. I think Juan mentioned like stock splits. It could be anything trading related, even anything life related to a specific degree, since I do also do life coaching outside of like, trading coaching. So yeah, you guys can literally ask me anything and I'll give you my feedback and we'll go from there. Before we start, we have 37 people in here and we only have 7 likes. For those who know me, I require at least 50% participation for these classes. So if you have not already, hit the thumbs up or hit the like button. And until then, I will do nothing because I don't ask for anything in return, nothing monetary. All I ask is for a little, thumbs up, like button to get the channel traction, to get out there for more people to learn with us together. All right, I got my 50% participation. Let's start. What I'll probably do is after the comments that are already in the chat, I'm going to answer you guys really quickly. And then I'm going to go over the questions in the, that people answered or asked rather in the questionnaire. And then I'll like open up the floor for more questions that we don't go over or anything you might want me to touch up on again. So let's see. Good morning, sir. I'm so glad to see you alive. I found you over a comment on Reddit on a trading sub. He mentioned your strategy playlist and said you died. Then I saw you, a young man, and I was like, oh no. So Westfeller, I am the individual that made that comment just for specific groups in the subreddit. I can't say that it's my channel or they'll ban me. But the creator of the strat, which is the strategy, his name is Rob Smith. He is dead, unfortunately. Definitely was a blessing to a lot of us. So I am alive, but he, the creator, is dead, unfortunately. Cool. So let's see. I need help with everything. I got like $20 in stocks. I don't know anything. Been trying to make bank, but I don't know what to do. Yeah, we'll definitely go over that, Jamari. And let's see, Juan mentioned, so for the stock splits thing in the channel, is there a list of all the brokers we need to open an account with? I don't necessarily follow the stock splits channel. If you're talking about like the Divine Discord, I've seen that channel pop up with the stock splits, or maybe it's from another group. I'm not 100% sure. But for that channel, I believe if you're in the US, you can get like an account with Schwab, Fidelity, Webull, probably even Robinhood, Vanguard. Those are the major ones or the popular ones. So, those are some lists. that you can look for to open an account with. I'm not sure if the person who runs that channel recommends doing that same trade on what do you call it? What do you? I'm not sure if that individual recommends to open up in other areas, but I'm not too sure. What app do I use to trade? I use Thinkorswim to trade options and Tradeovate to trade futures. I have $100 in Nvidia. Should I put more? I'm not a financial advisor, so I cannot tell you yes or no. All I will say to that is, as everybody says, you can put in as much as you are willing to lose. So if you have 1,000 to spare that you don't mind losing, you can do whatever you want with that. Can you show us a regulated broker statement to showcase your probability or profitability? That is a negative, I guess, SK. I'm not sure how to pronounce your username. I used to post all my gains and all of that stuff in my Discord group, but then I stopped because my main objective of this channel is to teach people more about the psychological side of trading, and also to understand, you need to build the system in order to be profitable. Now, I've already done my time in sharing my gains and all of that good stuff, and I don't really care to do it anymore. I don't really care to be a YouTube channel of like, look how much money I'm making, or this or that. My students and my results that I posted in my group and other places is my proof. If not, you're more than welcome to go over the strat yourself and do your own research and see if it works for you. It works for me, people that I've taught, people who taught it to me, and I'll keep that there. Would you say what would you say is the better trading mindset? Treat your next trade like a game of poker or like a game of chess? That's a great question. I like that analogy. I would say similar to poker, because poker, we're using real money, but not only that, you know, in poker, we're putting up money to risk, I don't know, whatever hand that we may have, right? And based on the hand that we have a probability to win against the other players. So in our case, as a trader, whatever setup we're trading, that depending on the setup we trade, there's a specific probability, a range of probability that the trade may work or may not work against us. And similar to poker, well, poker may be a little different because I don't really play poker. So for those who know, I'm just going to kind of not make stuff up, but like as little as I know, if you have the best hand in poker, then, you're probably going to win 100%, right? But let's say you have, I don't know, whatever the second or third best hand is in poker, if you have, let's say, the second best, the probability of you winning that round or whatever it is in poker may be better than the other individuals around you. So trading, to answer your question, Westfeller, is, you have to approach the markets with a probability-based mindset, not necessarily with a certainty-based mindset, because everything is probability, right? Even my best setups fail. The ones that have like 80, 90% win rate. It's to be expected. I'm not going to win every trade. And I don't ever say that I will win every trade, because that is impossible. I wish I did win every trade, but unfortunately I do not. Like this week, I ended red, I think I traded 4 days. 2 out of those days I was green options and on futures. The other 2 days I was red on options and green on futures. And then another day I was green on futures, and then on one account green on futures, then red on the other one, and then green on options barely on Friday. But yeah, all that to say, losing is definitely part of the business, and it is to be expected. If you try to come into trading with the notion of I'm not going to lose, you're going to have a hard time in this business, I'm going to tell you. All right, so let's get into the questions that you guys asked. Louis or Kevin, I'm going to come back to your questions about the Greeks after I go over this list here, and then I'll go back to the questions on the chat. So let's see. So the first question here that somebody responded, they want me to go over the basics, how to set up the trading view screen, explain the Advent watch list, what the short and long mean, and how to use it, so on and so forth. All right, so let's go step by step. Let me know if you guys can see my screen. And let me actually bring this over here so I can read the question again. All right, so how to set up TradingView screen. Whoever is in here, if you did ask that question, what specifically do you want to set up for the TradingView screen? Like, is it how to use certain tools? Is it how to get like different charts up, the tickers? Which is why I usually ask the question, be specific as you can, because, you know, once you open the chart, technically it's already set up for you. So if you are in here and you can, you know, let me know more on what exactly you mean and how to set it up, maybe that can help me answer that question. But I will just touch up on it briefly. I do have a YouTube video going over TradingView in detail, like all the features in the trainings and walkthrough playlist. So definitely check that out. Cool. So on the left side, this pretty much is where all your tools are. You know, your drawing, your trend lines, so on and so forth, fibs, X, Y, and Z. On the top left, you have your ticker symbol. So you can, let's say you want to look for Apple, you just type that in, and then it'll give you the Apple chart. This is your time frame that we have up here, 5 minute, all the way to the yearly, and you can, you know, customize it and add other ones if you want. The top right, this is where like your layout is. If you have a paid version of TradingView, you can click here, select layout, and then you can open up different screens. So if you want like 4 charts, you can click on this. If you want 6 charts, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, so on and so forth. And you can, I think you can also customize it, how like long or big you want it, things like that. On the right side, the top right is your watch list, whatever you may have. So I have here SPY sectors, which is the sectors of the S&P 500, futures and ETFs, and then like CFDs, which is like for Forex, crypto, stuff like that. And then you have your object tree. The object tree tells you the drawings and the indicators that you have up on that specific, ticker. And then right here, indicators, pretty straightforward, where you go to find your indicators and such. So hopefully that answered your question on how to set it up. Explain the Advent watch list. Definitely. Let's look at this together. There we go. All right, so the Advent watch list, for the groups that I am in, I post this pretty much daily. If you know me from Reddit, I probably post it maybe once or twice in the futures trading subreddit and the trading subreddit. But essentially, this is my watch list on what I'm looking for the following day. These specific setups here are only to be taken during the New York trading session, meaning when we're looking at these setups, these are levels taken from the New York session. So if these trigger pre-market, we do not take the trade pre-market. We only take the trade during regular trading hours. So keep that in mind. Where it says long above or short below, what that means is as soon as the new candle opens up in the New York trading session, preferably as an inside bar, which I'll explain in a little bit, if it breaks above this price, you can essentially buy calls, or you can just go long, meaning you can buy. If you trade options, you can just buy calls or buy puts if it goes the short below level. I just use the generic long or short because some people may trade regular stocks, some people may trade options, and going long or going short is just universal. But essentially, going long, like I mentioned, as soon as it breaks this price of whatever it is that you're trading, whatever you choose from the watch list, you're going to buy calls or you're going to go long. And then the same thing for the short side. You're either going to go short as soon as it breaks that level or that price, and then, or you're going to buy puts, either one. And then the under it, where it says like 3-2 on the 4 hour, that's just the last printed strat setup on that time frame. So for example, let's look at SPY. We have a 3-1 on the 4 hour. So let's go to SPY. And then if we look at the 4 hour, we have a 3-1 setup on the 4 hour. So if we break below this inside bar, you can go short. If we break above that price, we can go long. Something to note, if the price gaps up, I do not get into the trade, because let's pretend that this is the next candle that prints like this. Actually, let's not even use this as an example. Let's say here we have this 2-1 setup. We have a big gap. Even though it broke above that level, I'm not going to buy calls or go long, because if my stop loss was under this candle to go long like this, my stop is only $2 and change. If I'm buying calls or whatever, this increases my risk and reduces my take profit levels, because if my stop loss is still the same, now I have a 7-point stop loss as opposed to a $2 stop loss that I may have used. So when we get a gap up or down, what I instead look for is a TTO. For those who are in my group, you can go to the Strat Academy, go to the TTO section. I have everything explaining it in different setups and visuals so you can see what it looks like. If you're in the Divine Discord, if you go to Advent Alerts and you go to the pin section, if you go to the first post that I ever pinned right over here, it'll explain the watch list and what to look for. If you are in the Stock King Charts group, if you go to the Strat Academy, same thing in the TTO section. This is the setup or the model that you would look for to get in on the trend if we gap up or down, if you're using my watch list levels. What app do you use to see these charts? This is TradingView right here that I'm using. But normally what I use is Thinkorswim, which is this. It's just easier for me, like when I'm teaching you guys, to go on TradingView, because my chart is cleaner and the tools are easier to use in my experience anyway. But yeah, TradingView, this is what we're using right now. So whoever asked the question, how to set up TradingView and my watch list, hopefully that made sense. For those who are in here, did that make sense on like how to use my watch list, what it means, things like that? Cool. All right. How do you mainly choose your stocks to watch? Volume, news, volatility? None of the above, surprisingly. In the 4 years that I've been trading, I have been trying to simplify my trading so much, because the more complicated you make trading, the more challenging of a time you may have. Again, in my experience. Again, I try to make it as simple as possible. All the terms and what to watch, is it in the alert tab in Divine? In the sense of my watch list? In the Divine Discord, it's just in the Advent Alerts. If you click on the pin section or the pinned messages, go all the way to the first post I ever pinned that says, please go through the material below to understand the watch list. It'll give you all the videos and stuff to go over that material so you understand how to read the watch list. So it'll be in there. So how do I choose my stocks to watch or on my watch list? So a lot of the things that I have on my watch list, I don't even trade. Like, for example, all I trade on my watch list is YM and RTY for futures, but I only choose one. I don't trade both. I choose one. So usually I trade YM. And then for options, I trade either Tesla or Nvidia based on, you know, which specific setup I may be wanting to look for. I mainly trade Tesla over Nvidia, which is why on the watch list I only have levels and targets for Tesla. So these are targets that I provide to give you guys guidance if you take Tesla with me. Everything else I kind of leave up to the individual to see why, they prefer that, or, if they prefer something else besides what I trade. Um, so everything else that's on the watch list is just for you guys, because I used to have like Apple and things like that. And people always used to ask me like, hey, can you add in NQ? Hey, can you add in QQQ and IWM and this and that? So I'm like, all right, I'm going to permanently leave all these tickers on the chart because I only trade 3 or 4 things, like I mentioned. I'm kind of set in stone with what I like to trade. I'm not a trader that likes to trade different things, like every other day. I kind of just stick to what works for me. So, like I mentioned, for futures, all I trade is YM and RTY. I only trade RTY if YM isn't doing anything. And then I usually pick either Tesla or Nvidia when I'm trading, one or the other. I don't trade more than 2 tickers a day because for me, it's overwhelming to trade more than 2 tickers in a day. For those who can trade more than 2, bless your heart, because I cannot do that, I'll tell you. And then, of course, I have the news events, and this is Eastern time for these news events, so keep that in mind. Cool. Hopefully that answered your question, whoever asked that. Let's see. Entry points. Entry points, I'm going to go into a little later because somebody else asked something similar. So I'll just condense all those questions like in one shot. In Divine, what does 3-1 mean on 4-hour? I mean, is there a video explaining terminology in your alerts? Yeah, so like I mentioned, in the pinned messages, if you go to the pinned messages, what is the strat? This video here will explain to you what the strategy is and what the numbers mean on my chart and on the watch list, as well as let's jump to this message. The ebook, the strat ebook is in there as well. It'll explain to you all the numbers and things like that. Let's see. What kind of options do you look for? Cameron, I'll go over that in a bit when I get back to the questions in the chat. Hope you can. All right, so the next question in the questionnaire, how to start? Great question. Let's go to my beginner's guide. All right, cool. So I'll just reference this list because I'd rather you guys see something visual, and then, we can go step by step. So if you're starting out as a trader, I'll give you the program or the steps that I put my cousin through. He started 3 months ago with knowing absolutely nothing about trading. And what I did was, this beginner's guide is in my group, but if you want, I can post it in the Divine group as well in my channel. And then I'll just pin it so you guys have that too. Actually, let me make a note of that because I'm going to forget in an hour or an hour and a half when we end this. Give me 1 sec. Let me make a reminder. Post beginner guide in Divine group. All right. Cool. So I'll post that later on. Is there a fee to join my group? Yeah, it's a $25 fee, one-time payment to join my group, and you get lifetime access. So you only pay once, and you never have to pay again. I will post the link in the chat, and it's also in the description of this video or this class that we're on right now. So for those who may want to join, I just posted it in the chat. It's the wap.com link. When you go into it, you're going to specifically go to, let me minimize this. You're going to specifically go to the Cerulean Trading Group Discord access. You pay one time and you will never pay again. And as a friendly reminder, for those who are not in my group by January 2025, that's going to go from a one-time payment to a subscription. So if you join in before January of next year, you will never have to pay again. You only pay one time, $25, and that's it. All right, moving back on to the beginner's guide. So beginner's guide, if you're new to trading, the first thing that, of course, actually, before I get into that, what I had my cousin do, him and I went over the Candlestick Bible and the Strat ebook. And of course, I went over step by step with him after he finished the chapters in the Candlestick Bible. And then I had him paper trading to make sure that he understood what we were going over. I would give him assignments and some homework to do to make sure he was understanding what we went over. And like I mentioned, paper trading is super important, especially if you're new, because you don't want to use your real money when you're learning, especially if it's something new. Because with trading, people might be like, "Oh, I'm new to trading. Let me put in a $10,000 or $1,000." You know, you really don't want to shred $10,000 as you learn. You want to paper trade and really understand what you're doing before you use your real money. So with my cousin, you know, for the first two and a half months, I had him paper trading. And from there, once I saw that he understood what we were going over and that he understood the material and he was consistent in his paper trading, we moved him over to live, and he's been doing fantastic. So remember, don't rush the process. You know, take your time and you'll be fine. What is the app called to trade with fake money? So you can either paper trade on TradingView. So right down here, let me actually log out so I can show you guys how to do it. So on TradingView, if you have that, you can go to the trading panel, paper trade, connect it, and then you could just trade literally on the chart. Create a new order, and then just put in the order for whatever it is that you're trading. If you use Thinkorswim, when you're logging in on the login screen, it's going to say live trading in blue, or it's going to say paper money or paper trading in yellow. And you would click paper trading, and then you'll log into the paper side of Thinkorswim, and it'll say simulated trading. And then other brokers or platforms that you use have paper trading as well. Webull has paper trading. I don't think Robinhood has paper trading. It just has like theoretical things. So, you know, go from there. Hey, Jason, thanks for joining us. I'm going over the questions that people asked in the questionnaire, and then I'll start going through the questions in the chat. So I'll get to your question in a bit. So going back to the beginner's guide for those who are new to trading and need some type of guidance to trade. So like I mentioned, you want to get yourself a brokerage, a trading platform. I use Thinkorswim. Thinkorswim, the data is free, so you don't need to pay for data. You just need to deposit, I think, at least like $50 in your account, and then they'll give you real-time trading data. So you can do that. I used to use Webull a lot. Webull to me is like, it's amazing. Like the user interface is super clean, really easy to navigate. Thinkorswim has a bigger learning curve in the beginning, but once you understand it, you know, it's easy. So, you know, Webull or Thinkorswim are pretty good in my opinion, in my experience. I mainly use Thinkorswim. Sometimes I go on Webull if like a student has a question on how to use it, if they're using it. And for futures, I use Tradeovate. The margin requirements are low. And on top of that, it's, you know, it's not really that hard to use. And in my YouTube channel, in the trainings and walkthrough section or playlist, I have videos on how to use and set up each of these platforms. So you can go ahead and check that out if you would like. If you're not in the US, I know of Interactive Brokers. I know there are other ones. I'm just not sure which other ones there are for individuals that are overseas. So, you know, you might want to do some research there. Second section of the beginner's guide, risk management is extremely important. If you don't know what risk management is, in the trading psychology playlist, I made a risk management video. It's like about an hour long. I had a class going over risk management in detail. But essentially, risk management in simple terms is, the protection of your capital or the money that you put into the market. Because, the goal of you as a trader, one of the biggest focuses that you need to have is managing your risk. If I have $10,000 in an account, I'm not going to put $5,000 in a trade, right? Because I'm using half of my account size. And let's just say I lose 50% of that trade. Now I lost 2,500 or 25% of my account. To me, that's way too big of a loss. Maximum for me, I lose 1 to 3% of my account maximum per trade. You don't want to over leverage. You don't want to, you don't want to use so much of your capital, right? Now, of course, if you don't have that much money to trade with, there are alternatives like prop firms, or you could look into futures trading, because futures trading, you could trade with like $100 account and you can grow that in a good amount of time, depending what you're trading, of course. Personally, I've seen that a lot of people online say, oh, it's a rite of passage for you to blow an account and so on and so forth. To me, I think that's a bunch of crap. I think that happens when people don't have proper guidance. Like if you just start learning by yourself. For me, I believe that it's important that if you are going to go into trading, to have a type of mentor or somebody to help you through. Because, for me, it took me two to 2.5 years to become profitable. Now, my cousin and other people that I've worked with, well, I'll just speak about my cousin for now. My cousin, like I said, he didn't know anything about trading 3 months ago, and he's already trading by himself, profitable. He doesn't even need me anymore, and he's doing great. So with the proper guidance, you can be profitable much quicker than if you just try to do it yourself. So little note there. Another thing to note is part 3. Don't get caught up in the money that people are making, because I see a lot of people get caught up in like, oh, this person's making $1,000 or they're making $5,000 or $10,000 a day, and I want to do that too. But you have to remember that this is your journey and you want to take your time. You don't want to rush the process, because you'll get there eventually, sure. But again, you don't want to rush the process because it's going to mess you up. And people who've been coming to my classes, you'll always hear me say this. You don't want to focus on the money. You want to focus on building your system. Like for my cousin, we've built his system. We've built exactly what setups to take, which setups not to take, how much to risk per trade, so on and so forth. And from that system is where he's making his money. So once you develop your system, once you know what works, once you know what doesn't work, that's where the money comes from. And again, you will reach the point that you want to in making 100 a day, 500 a day, 1,000 a day, whatever it may be. Again, you just have to take your time. So, don't rush it. Take all the time you need. The market isn't going anywhere. And as I mentioned here, there's no shortcut to success. Because some people are like, oh, well, if I have 1,000, let me just put 800 in a trade, because if I win this trade, then maybe I'll make 500 to grow my account quicker. If your system is not consistent, you're going to blow that account, I'll tell you. This is mainly for my group. I offer one-on-one sessions. Even for those who are not in my group, I offer one-on-one sessions, which is in that WAP link that I posted above. So if you do want to work with me, just let me know and we can set something up. If you are in the Discords that I help support, just message me and I'll send you a discount code that I offer to the members of the groups that I support. Cool. So if you're new to trading, like I mentioned, you want to look up the Candlestick Bible, and I'll bring this up really quickly so we can all look at it together. Give me a sec here. So the Candlestick Bible, it'll pretty much give you basics on how to read candle patterns, the different candle patterns, market structure, and things like that. If you are reading this and you're going to go the route of learning my strategy, or not my strategy, but the strategy that I use, the strat, you can read until you get to page, I think it's 114 or 121, because then it goes into like trading strategies. So you can read everything up until the strategy section, and you can just skip the strategy stuff and just stop reading until you get to you finish the chapter of time frames and top down analysis. Because if you're going to learn the strategy that I use, you can just focus on everything but the strategies here, because the strategies here use EMAs and things like that, which in my opinion aren't necessary. So Candlestick Bible, if you are an absolute beginner. And then, like I mentioned, the Strat ebook, which is in most of the groups that I support, it's in there. What else? Anything else that I can remember? Oh yeah, like is the Candlestick Bible in the Divine section? It should be. If it isn't, then I'll post it in the beginner's guide when I make that, and I'll just add everything there for you guys so you can go through it. Let's see what's next. Cool. Number 6, trading. Like I mentioned. Yes, Wes Feller. So everything that I'm going through now is all the information that I'll post in other groups. There is certain things that I won't post in other groups that only my members have access to. So the next portion is, trading. Like I mentioned before, the mechanical side or the strategy part of trading, in my opinion, is only 20% of actual trading. The rest is, mindset and trading psychology, because, I can teach you my strategy, but if you don't have the mental discipline and the emotional discipline and so on and so forth to manage yourself when you are taking those trades and not to over leverage or over risk, then you're going to have a hard time being profitable. In my mentors group, where I got taught the strat in, there's people that have been there as long as I have, that are still not profitable because they still haven't gotten down the the system part or the psychological part of trading, which to me is the most important part. Which indicators or signals do you normally follow? I don't follow any signals. I just take my specific trades and setups. And the only indicators that I use, if you want to even call it an indicator, the Strat Assistant to show me the candle numbers, and ATR to tell me how much a stock moves in a day. That's all I use. The way you see my chart, that's how I trade. Well, to be more specific, like this, with broadened informations, fib levels, X, Y, and Z. But when I'm trading, this is how my chart looks. This is pretty much how I trade. I don't overcomplicate it. I just trade price action. Would you recommend watching the boot camp if I just got into trading and trying to learn futures trading? I'm not sure what the boot camp is. If that's something from the other leaders or traders in the Divine Discord, sure, you can definitely watch it. I don't know what that is, or I haven't watched it, so I can't really say yes or no. Anything else for the beginner section? Ooh, the last important part. Get a trading journal to write down all your trades. Let's see. I personally use TraderSync. It's an online trading journal. You can just download your trade log from whatever it is that you trade on, and you can upload it, and it uploads all your trades. It'll tell you exactly when you got in, how much money you made, how much you lost in the trade, so on and so forth. It gives you a lot of information to help you. For those in my group, I think in the general chat, let's see. Did I post it here? Yeah, in the general chat, somebody from my mentors group posted this in here. It's a trading journal for like an Excel sheet, so you can just plug things in that you can like edit yourself. So super cool stuff in there. You can check that out if you don't want to pay for one. TraderSync gets paid that I use. It's $180 a year, which to me is well worth the money. They give you a 7-day free trial, so you can let the trial run out. Then they give you 50% off, which will give you the $180 a year for the pro version if you do want to use TraderSync. If if not, you can use this journal here. I'm not really going to share it outside of my group or my mentors group because somebody else posted it in my mentors group, and I don't know if they want me to share it freely with everyone else. So, something to note. All right. Anything else in the beginner section? Yeah, that's pretty much it for the beginner stuff. So hopefully that helped you guys if you are new to trading to help. So something to keep in mind. All right, let's go to the next question. How to take advantage of 1 to 2 day trades instead of very fast trades. If you are in here and you ask that question, the only thing that I can really say there is if you're following signals of other traders that post signals out there, you may want to focus on just maybe 1 or 2 of the individuals that may not shoot out like quick trades, or you can start challenging yourself to learn more so how to find your own trades, just to keep it simple. For me, I don't follow signals. I just look at my watch list and I just take the trade based on that. So hopefully that answered your question. Let's see. Hope you can go over every single step, how you read a chart, analyze, and decide how to master trading like position size, risk management, etc. Is being a funded future trader the way to go when starting with not much capital? So my cousin, he doesn't have that much money starting out, so I had him go the prop firm route so he can use that to fund his own personal account. So that's definitely an option if you don't have that much money of your own starting out. As a beginner, how much percent success would you say going off your watch list would be to grow the account? Great question. I would say you can have 70, maybe 70 to 80% success rate using my watch list, at least if you're using it correctly as I describe in the instructions. I usually have people reaching out to me, thanking me for the watch list since they make money off it, at least the things that I don't trade on. Some of my students, we trade the same thing. So whatever I trade is pretty much the same setup they're going to trade. And I usually end at the end of the month anywhere between 70 to 85% of my trades are wins. So in June, I traded, what was it for June? Let's see, for June, I traded 21 trading days, 6 losing days, so 71.43% win rate. I had 6 losing days, and the rest were green for the days that I did trade in June. And then so far in August, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I have 9 trading days and 4 red days. So 5 is green, 4 is red so far in the month of August. What is your watch list that you watch? My watch list is, if you're from Divine, you have to look at advent alerts. That's my watch list. If you came late from when I was explaining the watch list later, you could just watch the replay for that info. But yeah, 70 to 85%. My best month, I think, was April. Yeah, in May, I had what, 20 days, 7 red days, 13 green. I think April was my best month. I had like 2 red days. Yep. In April was my best month. I had 2 red days out of the month. So I love that month. I wish that month would come back. That was great. What do you consider a green day and what do I consider a red day? A green day is just a day that I made more money than I lost. And a red day is a day that I lost money, I didn't make money. In the Divine Discord, yeah. I was like, the Chipotle channel and the deals, because I don't really look at a lot of the other channels since I don't like so much noise when I'm helping you guys out in that group. So yeah, Chipotle is great sometimes. Is the monthly success loss track part of the subscription for the trade journal? That calendar, Maria, that I just showed you is part of TraderSync. The percentage, I just went to um, I just went to like Google, put like win rate calculator, and then I just put the amount that I've won and the amount that I've lost, and then it gives me the percentage, which I just add in there. All right. Let's see. Hope you can go over every single step, how you read a chart, analyze, and decide. How to master trading like position size, risk management, etc. This specific question is going to take a while, so I'm just only going to briefly touch on it because we have a lot more questions to go over. We might have like a 2-hour class today, which is fine with me. If you guys have the time to stick around, that's great. If not, if you have to leave early, that's cool too. You could just watch the replay. All right, so let's go. Let's keep it simple. Let's see how to read the chart. So to keep it extremely simple on how I take trades is literally this. You go to the 4-hour time frame. Make sure you have regular trading hours. You cannot have extended hours on or electronic hours on. These levels are specifically only for the New York trading session and only on the 4-hour when I'm getting my levels. So this is SPY. We're going to go long above, and we're going to go short below. Whoops, I can't spell. Short below. And that's pretty much it. That's how I get my levels for the watch list. After I get this, preferably, I would want the next candle to open inside so I can get triggered into the trade. But if we get a gap up like this or a gap down like this or like this, then these levels are invalidated because I'm not going to market buy when there's a gap up or down. I'm increasing my risk when I do that. So if there's a gap up or down, and if it's going to be a trend day, you can look for a TTO to get in. Or if it triggers a 2 up and then it comes back down and then it hits the short below level, I'll take that short on the 3 down or the 3 up, either one. Let's see. But yeah, how I decide to take a trade, like I mentioned, I only trade 2 things a day. I either look at Tesla. So this is my layout when I'm trading. I have Tesla up here, and I have, let me bring this back up. And then I have NVIDIA down here. And I decide, am I going to trade NVIDIA or am I going to trade Tesla tomorrow? I don't trade both. I choose one. So I get in preferably on the 4-hour time frame if it doesn't gap up or down. And then I just set my trade for the option, and then I'll look for trades on my future side. And same thing for futures. We have YM here. So tomorrow when the New York session opens up, I'm either going to take a 2 up if it breaks this high or a 2 down if it breaks this low. And if it gaps up or down, then I'll just look for a TTO or other setups that I have. The other setups that I look for, if you are in my group, you can go to in the educational center, in the playbook setups. These are the other setups that I look for besides the TTO and the 4-hour triggers, stuff like that. Again, you want to keep your trading as simple as possible. You don't want to overanalyze and get analysis paralysis and things like that. And this is specifically for day trading. If I am swing trading, I'm going to be looking for the daily and the weekly time. I'm going to be looking at the daily, weekly, or monthly time frames for swing trades. Yes, the watch list is only to be used during the New York session, which is 9:30 a.m. Eastern and between 9:30 a.m. to 4 p.m. Eastern, not after or before that. How to master trading, like position size, risk management, etc. So for risk management, like I mentioned, I'm not going to go too deep into it, but I'll just quickly go over, I'll just show you the reference guide that I made for the risk management class that you can find in the trading psychology section of my YouTube channel for free. It's the risk management guide. Let's see. Where did I put this? There we go. So just a quick little thing. I like to divide like 3 different categories. So an aggressive trader will use 15 to 20% of their account in a trade. The moderately aggressive trader will be 7 to 10% of the account. And then a conservative trader may use 2 to 5% of their account. I myself fall under the moderate aggressive trader. I use 7 to 10% of my account in every trade. And that's what works best for me. That's what I have found best for me. Now, if you are more aggressive, you may want to look more towards this. If you're more conservative, or if you have a bigger account, you may want to look at this. And this is just a guide. You can kind of just make the percentages in what works best for you. This is just what works best for me. If you're using futures, it's a little different, where it's kind of like, I kind of have an idea here. So let's say if you have $2,000 and you're using one ES contract, you can only lose 20 points before you can only really lose like 15 points and change until you can't trade anymore, because you'll fall under the margin requirements. But anyway, for those who trade futures know what I'm talking about. So if you have $5,000 and you need $500 to trade one ES contract, if you lose $4,500, you need to deposit more money to trade ES again. So in this case, let's say each trade has a 10-point stop loss, which will equate to a $500 loss. You only have 9 losing trades in a row before you have to fund your account again. If you're using a prop firm, let's say they have, for Apex, let's say the 25K account. Let's say for Apex, they have the 25K account where the maximum you can lose is 1,500, which will only be 3 trades that you can lose if you use a 10-point stop loss with ES. So, you want to really gauge your account size and the position size based on your setups and things like that. I definitely encourage you guys to watch that risk management video. Like I mentioned, if you go to my channel and you go to the playlist section, if you go to Trading Psychology Mindset, it is going to be the risk management video. I go into a lot of detail in that, on how to size correctly and things like that to protect your account. Do you usually trade only on the 4-hour? Negative. I use the 4-hour, the 5-minute, the 15-minute, the 30-minute, and the 1-hour when I'm day trading. But mainly the 4-hour is my first trade of the day if it triggers without the gap up or down. So whoever answered the question about my process, hopefully that helped. Again, I don't want to go too much into detail because we'll be here for 3 hours and I want to get to everybody else's questions. How to determine when is a good time? Oh, this question is good. How to determine when is a good time to average down in a losing trade that you have faith in versus when to cut a losing trade at a stop loss / when to give a trade space to work with a high stop loss or big stop loss. Fantastic question. I personally do not believe in averaging down. When I get into a trade, it's either going to win or it's going to lose. If I'm averaging down, to me personally, the way I trade or the way strat people trade, as far as I know, If you're averaging down, that means that the original trade plan is no longer valid and that you're switching up the trade plan while you're in the trade, meaning you need to get out of that trade because the original trade plan is no longer there. So if you're averaging down, to me, like I mentioned, I don't believe in that. I don't average down. I haven't averaged down in about 2.5 years. So don't do that, or I wouldn't do that. Because if the trade is a loser, you're just adding more of a loss by adding more into the position. And you use the word faith in here. I'm going to substitute that word with hope. And for the people that have worked with me, you know that the word hope does not exist in your vocabulary. If you start to use the word hope, that is a red flag. Because in trading, we do not hope. It's either yes or it's no. The trade is going to win or the trade is not going to win. There's no in between. So if the trade is going against you, you're like, oh, well, let me just move my stop loss a little bit because maybe it'll come back to my entry. Then I can take it off at break even. Or let me average down and then maybe it'll come back. Or, my stop loss was at 20%, but let me just increase it to 40% because maybe it'll come back and go in my favor. That maybe is going to mess you up. I'll tell you from experience. I've taken huge losses, not respecting my stop loss and hoping. So hoping, don't do that. Let's see. And cut a losing trade at a stop loss. So again, each setup, you should already have an idea before you get in where your stop loss is. If you don't know where your entry is, your stop loss is, and your take profit is before you get into the trade, then you're gambling. You need to know when you're getting in, when you're getting out, and when you're taking profit. If you don't have that, you're gambling. So you need to know that before you get into a trade. And based on that trade, if it hits your stop loss, take the L gracefully, move on. There will be other trades. I find a lot of people get caught up in losing a trade or ending red for the day. Who cares about a red day in a green week, or a red week in a green month, or a red month in a green year? People get way too caught up in losing a trade or getting red for the day. It's not about that. Because I find when people get caught up in a single losing day, they get so caught up with that red day that they'll go on tilt and then they'll blow the account that same day, when they could have just taken a $200 loss or $500 loss and kept it moving to survive another day and trade another day. So remember, losing is part of the process. Always respect your stop loss. And another reason I say that is because as a retail trader, for us that we don't work at a firm, we don't have a risk manager behind our neck or breathing behind our neck saying, hey, what are you doing? You're over leveraged. Where's your stop loss? Where's this? We have to be all of that for ourselves. So you have to hold yourself up to a higher standard, or else you're not going to succeed in this business. I'm going to tell you. So you need to have a proper trading plan before you get into a trade, or else you're gambling. And we're here to make money. We're not here to gamble. If you want to gamble, the casino exists. Your trade style has a full TP. You never let runners run. I take partials and I let runners run. It depends on the setup. Some setups I do 1-to-1 risk reward. Some I do 1-to-2. Some 1-to-3. It really varies on the setup. All right. How do you find your daily bias? Knowing you asked when NQ is going to trend versus chop. I'll just use it as a blank ticker. So if you want to keep it very simple, when it could potentially be a trend day, if we get a gap up or a gap down, or if the daily triggers the previous high or the previous low, which is telling me that the day is either green or red now. So you can use that as a potential indicator if the day may be a trend day or not. Again, I only trade the New York session, so I can't speak on Asia or London session. But in the New York session, if it triggers bullish, it's probably going to be a bullish trend day or a bearish trend day. Or If we get a really volatile day, it could be a three candle like this, where it can trigger up, but then it fails, comes back down, and triggers short. And now it's a bearish trend day. The way to tell if it can be a potential choppy day is if the day is trading inside or an inside bar like this. The New York session is 9:30 a.m. Eastern. 9 a.m. is pre-market. So if the daily is trading inside bar or inside of the previous day's range, it's probably going to be a choppy day. I just keep it simple and just look at it that way with my strat eyes. If you use ICT, might be different. Let's see. Next question. I'll kind of just lump this in really quickly. People asked, entries. I'm not going to go too deep into it, but you should go over the strat material that I have on my YouTube channel in the strat playlist that has all the components of the strat. It explains how to get into trades, things like that. Check out the strat ebook as well. Let me bring it up so we can quickly look at it together. So for the strat, pretty straightforward. So let's say this candle's a 2 down, and then this is going to be your trigger candle where you got into the trade bullish. You're going to get in as soon as it breaks above the wick. We, as strat users, we don't wait for the candle to close. As soon as it breaks above that level, we go long. And then your targets are the previous candle highs, or you can use the body as well if you want to. So this can be a simple way to get into trades. And the strat is universal. It works on any time frame. However, if you are new to trading, you want to use the higher time frames, like the 1 hour, the 4 hour, the daily, things like that. You don't really want to use the 5 minute or lower, especially if you're new. So the 15 minute, the 30 minute, the 1 hour, and the 4 hour can be used if you're day trading. If you want to swing trade, you can use the daily and the weekly to get the hang of it and understand the strat more. And then the stop losses, you can do it in one of 3 places, which I'll show in a few moments. In the ebook, it just shows you one section. So the trigger candle, which is the candle that got you into the trade, if you're going long, you can use the bottom of the trigger candle as your stop loss. Or if you're going short, you can use the top of the trigger candle as your stop loss, whichever one you want to do. Now let's look at a live example with Bitcoin. Let's go on the 1 minute because I don't want to be here for 50 hours waiting for this to trigger. All right, so we have this candle that just, let's see if we can get in here before it triggers the trade. All right, so if it breaks this candle high, which it just did, my stop loss is going to be under this candle. My take profit level, let's do this high right here. It might stop me out because this is pretty tight. So I got in here, but the spread got me in a little later. I'm going to take profit at the previous candle high, which is right here. My stop loss is under the trigger candle. And cool, successful trade. Pretty straightforward. Now, that's pretty much it. That's the strat. Super simple. Now, like I mentioned, your stop loss can be in different locations. So if, let's say I got in here, your stop loss can be under the trigger candle, like this, under the trigger candle, or it can be 50% of the setup candle, which is this right here. Or you can use the bottom of the setup candle, which is the candle right here, as your stop loss. Whichever one you want to use is up to your risk tolerance. Yeah, so the same link that you guys used to join is the same link for the recording. So this exact same link, you could just favorite or bookmark this and just come back to it. And it will also be in my, if you go to my channel and you go to the live section, it'll show all the live classes and all the replays. So right now, this one, the recording, it's going to be there once I finish this. Did that make sense on where to place your stop loss when you're getting into a strat trade before I continue? Yeah, West. So West, the 50% of the previous candle, you could just draw your fibs on that candle, and that'll be the 50% mark that you use for your stop loss. Well, for the strat, if it triggers bullish, it should go in the direction in your favor. Remember, it's not guaranteed 100% that it's going to be a winning trade. That's why we still use a stop loss. Any tips about position sizing, stop losses, and take profits? Ryan, I think you were in here earlier, but I'll touch up on that a little later. But again, just go to my channel, go to the playlist section after this or another day. Go to the trading psychology playlist and go check out risk management. Where is this? The risk management guide. I go into a lot of detail about your exact question. I just don't want to spend too much time because I have a lot more questions that I haven't gotten to. And I already touched up on that a little bit. All right. So this next question, I'm not sure who answered it or asked it. It might have been Runner G if you're in here, or somebody from Trust's group. I can only answer this question partially. I can't talk about the fibs because, only people who are in his group can know about the fibs, and it's proprietary. So you asked about H and Mu patterns. I'm not going to talk about the fibs because of what I just mentioned. Is there a certain way to make an option stop loss at a certain ticker price rather than the premium? Absolutely, Cameron. If you go to, same thing, if you go to my YouTube and you go to, I think I put it in trainings and walkthrough. I just released it recently. Automating option trades on Thinkorswim using conditional orders. You can make it. I pretty much go step by step on how to set that up to the stock price. This is specifically for Thinkorswim. For other platforms, I don't think they have this option, but if you use Thinkorswim, you can use exactly what I go over here. It's in the automating option. So if you go to my YouTube channel and you go to videos, it should be the most recent one that I posted, automating option trade on Thinkorswim using conditional orders. So you can look at it there. And again, if you use Thinkorswim, it's super easy. If you use other ones, you might have to research to see if they have that option. All right, moving on. So H and MU patterns, I'm going to speak about this in strat terms. For those who know, an H pattern is a TTO. A TTO just stands for, let me actually bring it up in the strat ebook. So TTO is just triangle they out. That's a term that Rob made. It just signifies corrective activity or a pullback before price continues in the trend. So a bullish TTO, or in your case, Runner G or whoever asked me this question, a mu is just an upside down H. Like this. This is a bullish TTO or mu pattern. So, wait, where's my text? So bullish TTO mu pattern. Mu pattern is more, people will understand what that means if you're in Trust's group. If you're not in this group, don't worry about the terminology. And then an H pattern, some people might know it as a dead cat bounce. It's pretty much this. So pretty easy to spot. Bullish, bearish. H pattern, upside down H, or you can look at it as the name suggests, triangle they out. Bullish trend, pulls back, forms like a triangle, and then continues higher. If that helps you visualize it. So let's look at Bitcoin's chart. Let's go on the 5-minute. Let's see if I can find one for you guys that's easy to spot, so it's not too complicated. Ooh. Can anyone spot the H pattern that is in this box? Who rugged Bitcoin today? Can you guys see where the H pattern is in the box that I shared just now, that I drew? You can type yes in the chat, hit the little heart or emoji icon, whatever that thing is. So let me know if you guys can spot the H pattern that is in here, in this box. Cool. So as we can see, we get a push down, a move up, continues down, makes the H pattern. Push down, push up, push down. Now, where do we enter in on the H patterns? If using the strat, it'll just be a regular strat setup. So we would get in right here. As soon as it triggers back short because the trend is bearish, your first target can be the completed H. So once this structure breaks, that could be your target right here. This will be the completed H pattern. Your entry is as soon as you get the bearish reversal to the downside. My stop loss, I don't use the trigger candle. I use the setup candle or the top of drinking the YMCMB juice. You know it. So for the TTO or H pattern, I like to have my stop loss above the height of the hump of the H, or as Trust says, the crest of the H. So you can see this as like the H crest / hump, whatever word you want to use. H crest sounds cooler, and Trust taught it to me that way. So I like to use the H crest as the term here. So your stop loss can be above that if you want. And then you could just take profit once it's that low. And then you can just take profit every specific amount, or just look to the left for more previous lows as targets, and so on and so forth. So this is pretty much how you would enter in on the bearish H patterns. And then for the bullish patterns, let's see if we could find one. Bitcoin might not have a clean one. Let's check the 15-minute on a big bullish day. If not, I'm just going to go to SPY. Oh, we had a nice H. Yeah, we had a nice H pattern right there. You can see H. I'll use this one as an example to show you guys, even though, nah, that's not a clean one. I want to show you guys a clean one. Let's go to YM extended hours. There was a nice one on CPI day. Oh yeah, I have it highlighted already. All right, so can anyone spot the bullish TTO in the highlighted box? Cool. So as we can clearly see here, like I mentioned to you guys earlier, We get the push up, the push down, makes like kind of like a triangle shape, and then it heads higher. In this case, it was a super clean trade where you would get in on this 2-1-2 up. So as soon as this candle breaks this inside bar's high, you can go long. For this specific trade, my stop loss, instead of being down here under this 2 candle, it'll probably be under the 1 candle, because that stop loss for futures in the position size that I trade is way too big. So if I have my stop loss down here, to me, that's too many points of a loss for me personally. Of course, you can use the micro contracts to, reduce your position size to get a wider stop loss, which you can do. However, for this trade, I would have used the bottom of the inside bar as my stop loss. That's 53 points. That's about $265 loss per YM contract, which I'm okay with. I'll take a $265 loss. That's cool with me. In this case, if it's a valid TTO, it's going to break this high. If it doesn't break the high and then it just dies down, it wasn't a valid TTO. In this case, as we can see here, the completed TTO will give us 170 points. However, the first target is 33 points, so you can trim your position there. Second target is 106 points. You can also trim your position there. Or if you're a brave soul and you want to hold your position in full until the TTO completes, you can do that too for the 170 points or whatever target it may be for whatever you're looking at. Me personally, I'm going to trim because I'm not going to let a 100-point move go red if it hits that second target. So that's just me. You guys follow me so far for TTOs? Cool. So TTOs are what we use if it gaps up or down, because like I mentioned, if it's going to be a trend day, you don't need to FOMO into the trade. There's going to be a TTO. You just have to wait for it. Let's look at Tesla, for example. That is not the Tesla chart that I want. I think it was last week or this week we had a big gap up day. Was it this day? I think it might have been Tuesday. I think it might have been this day. But let's highlight this one as well. Let's go on the 5-minute. Oh yeah, right here. So Tesla gap up. Again, we just need to wait for a TTO. And we have a nice one, not my preferred one, but a TTO nonetheless. We have the push up, the push down. You take that 2 up reversal right here. This first one probably would have stopped me out because this 3 candle wicked below this one. So that would have stopped me out. But you could have re-entered in at the 3 up candle once it broke this high. And then you could have targeted this high and then just taken profit every dollar or two that it continued going in your favor. So that's one example. Let's see. On this day, there was a TTO, but not really a clean one. I don't really like the way it looks like this. Maybe the 15-minute has a cleaner version. 15-minute has one as well. We have like the little push up, the push down. You take the reversal back up into bullish continuity. Any other clean ones that I can show you guys? So like, for example, this is a trade that I took that I got stopped out on. We had the gap up, we get the pullback, double inside bar. I took this 2 up right here. And as you can see, it hit my first candle target here, but way later in the day. I already got out of that trade because the chop back and forth, like all of this right here, and when it came back down here, this stopped me out, this candle. So this was a losing trade for me. And it never hit a new high of day. So this was an invalid TTO that did not complete. I got in as we normally would for a TTO, but it just didn't play out. So remember, like I always tell you guys, nothing is guaranteed. There's just probability based. When you take a TTO, there's a high probability of trade winning. Sometimes it doesn't win. Like even on this day too, we had a push up, a pull back. This pullback was a little big for me that I would prefer, but nonetheless, you take this bullish two up right here. As soon as it breaks this red candle's high, like I mentioned, in this case, we have a $5 move to the upside until the TTO completes. I'm probably not going to wait for the whole move to complete. I'm going to take profit as it goes in my favor. So I'll probably take profit at this high right here. I'll trim my position, and then I'll set a stop loss at break even and then see if it breaks the new high, which in this case it didn't. So I would have gotten stopped out at my entry after I took some profits off at this first target there. But yeah, hopefully that helped in, how to spot TTOs or H patterns and upside down H's, whatever you want to call it. For those in trusts group, you would use the fib to get in on the pullback. So for example, well, I can't really show you guys because there's other people in here that are not in this group. But essentially, we would use the fibs to get in on the pullback, as opposed to like me as a strat trader, where I'll get in on the reversal. All right, moving on. Next question: how to start learning how to trade. I already went over that earlier with the beginner's guide, but you asked the question about getting into futures trading as Forex is shutting down. So Forex isn't shutting down. It's more so that a lot of Forex brokers are not allowing, due to regulations, U.S. individuals to trade on it. But if you're like overseas, I'm pretty sure you can still trade on Forex brokers. So yeah, futures, definitely would look into that if I were you. I'm gonna post in the beginners like guide and like a futures guide in the same post, in a pinned post. So, you guys have ways to start from there. If you're in my group, you can just reference the futures guide. I pretty much have a bunch of information here on how to get started with futures and like what different things mean. So you can reference this channel there. For those who have my options course, I'm actually working on adding a futures course component to it, which you'll get that update for free. In a month, I should release it. I've just been super busy lately. So yeah, definitely futures. I love it. Let's see. I have no clue what I'm doing. I'm new and want to start. What platforms do I need? How much money should I put? And what terms should I learn? Whoever asked that, if you're in here, I already went over the beginner stuff earlier in this video. If you did come late, just watch the replay, the recording, and you'll see it there. In the sense of how much money you should put in, I would leave that up to you. Put as much as you're willing to lose. If I were starting brand new as a trader, I would put in between $500 and $1,000. This is a good question. How to get clean A+ setups. How to know when to enter and exit a trade, both day trades and longer expiring day trades. Well, a longer expiring day trade is not really a day trade. It's more of a swing trade. How to calculate stop loss price so I can set one on my trades. I already went over stop loss, so you can just use that in reference. And then you can just watch the risk management video where I go over detail on how to get like proper stop loss numbers and things like that in relation to your position size. In the sense of how to get clean A+ setups, that really depends on you. Like I always tell people, when the VIX goes down, does that mean stocks go up? Yes and no. The VIX really just means volatility, because stocks can still go up per se, and the VIX can go up too. But generally, when the VIX goes up, stocks go down. So in the question of clean A+ setups, that's why I always tell you guys, journaling is important, because you need to determine which are your best setups, right? Like for example, let me see if I can find this screenshot. Give me a sec. Uh, oh, there it is. So in TraderSync, like I mentioned, I upload all my trades and then I label my setups. What specific trade was this? And then I can determine when I'm doing my research. TraderSync has a thing where I can go into the specific setup and I can see how many trades won and I can see how many trades lost. And then that way I could be like, all right, this specific setup, the win rate is 80 or 90%. I would categorize that as an A plus setup. If it wins like 77, like 80%, that would be like a B setup. Anything that's under 70%, I would consider a C setup. I'm not taking that. I take it out of my trade, my setups, because I only want to take the best setups. I don't really care for the poor ones. Let me see if I can show this to you guys. Give me a sec. Let's go to this one. All right, so based on the 4-hour setup, my win rate according to TraderSync is 85.18%. Which is usually my go-to setup anyway when I'm trading. So are you also looking on the DXY before taking a trade? Absolutely not. I don't look at it because, like I said, I like to keep trading as simple as I can, and looking at multiple things just confuse me. So I just look at whatever it is that I'm looking at, and that's it. If I'm looking at SPY, I'm just looking at the SPY chart. I'm not looking at DXY or the VIX or whatever, RSI. I'm just looking at the SPY chart, and that's it. If looking at the DXY works for you, definitely go for it. It doesn't work for me. Because again, I want to simplify trading as much as I can, because managing my own group, managing like 7 other groups that I help support, helping out all my students, and also trading myself and working on other projects, it can get a little challenging to kind of manage my time appropriately. And, with everything in my head, I'm only one person. So I like to simplify my trading just to make it as easy as I can. And having all these extra components in my trading is just adding unnecessary mental strain, to say the least, for me. So whoever answered the question about clean A plus setups, I encourage all of you to journal all your trades and label the specific trade that it is. Like I think you guys just saw where I had my journal stuff up earlier. I made a class as well on journaling in detail, which I'm not going to go into today, but I'll show you guys a brief one here. So, when you're journaling, you can add all these things here. When you're watching the replay of this class, you can just pause it and then just watch this. If you're looking at the journaling class that I have, that's in the trading psychology playlist in my YouTube channel, I go over all of this in detail. But a lot of this is important. What ticker did you trade? What time did you trade? What time frame did you trade? All of that stuff. So you can collect that data and you can see exactly what works and exactly what doesn't work. That way now you can weed out the good setups from the bad setups. That's how I discovered what worked for me and what didn't work for me. Cool. All right. This question is more on an advice type of question, which I can't answer, but I'll say it out loud for you guys. Where to put my money into for best profit, like sector-wise, and how often should I be checking my shares? Do I pull them out or do I hold? I'm trying to figure out how to answer these questions myself. So again, I'm not an advisor, so I can't tell you what to do. I'll tell you what I do. So most of my long-term positions are in my Roth IRA. And those positions that are in there, I'm anticipating to hold them for the next 10 to 20 something years. There are some trades. Well, before I get into that, you want to also determine what type of portfolio do you want. Do you want a portfolio that's growth? Do you want a portfolio that's based on dividend income or whatever it may be, or a mix of dividend and growth? And then you can kind of determine from there. My holdings in my Roth are mainly dividend paying stocks. So, and then some of them are like individual stocks where I'm like speculating, like for growth. Those are more risky because, it's just based on what I think might happen in the future. It's not guaranteed. I don't have any tech stocks currently in my long-term portfolio. What I'm doing is I'm going to be trading more aggressively in my Roth to make enough to get 100 shares of NVIDIA. So then from there, I could just buy 100 shares and sell covered calls on it and generate that profit or premium income on top of the shares as they grow in the future. So again, that depends up to you. If you want to be exposed to tech, if you want to be exposed to other things, that's a question that you need to answer yourself. For me, I just focus on like dividend income, paying stocks, more like value-based stocks, things like that. So some of the ones that I was looking for was like Coca-Cola, Pfizer, some of the boomer stocks, as people would say. And I like SCHD. It's like an ETF. It has a lot of those stocks in it. So I'm like, let me just get the ETF instead of the individual stocks because it's less of a headache for me to manage each position individually and just go from there. So you can look into ETFs if you want, or individual stocks, really however you want to set up your portfolio. And in the sense of when to take profit or pull out, that's up to you. For me, one of the stocks that have been doing fantastic is UWMC. I first got into it. I've been trading it for like 2 years, mainly options on it, but then I started holding it long term. And I bought in a little bit at about like $7.50, $8, and then I bought again when it went to $5, and then I bought a lot when it went to like $3. And then my average is like $4.78, I think. In my Roth, my average I think is like $3 and something. So on that one, I'm up like 200% or almost 200%, like 150%. In my regular taxable account, I'm up 100 and something percent, but I put a lot into it. So I took half my position out because I'm like, all right, I'm pretty much doubled my money. So I took half of it out, pretty much the profits that I made. So whatever's in there, I'm going to be holding basically for the next like 10, 20 years and, seeing what happens. Keep in mind, if you do sell something for a gain in your taxable account, that's going to be seen as a capital gain. You're going to pay taxes on that. So again, it really depends. What type of account do you want to put it in? Do you need the money in case something hits the fan? I have most of my long-term investments in my Roth because I don't plan on taking any of that money out until I retire in about, the retirement age anyway. And I'm 33 now, so 26 and a half years. So again, look into that. Whenever I become a financial advisor, then I can answer that question on what exactly you should do, and we can talk more about what you want to do. In the meantime, you can figure it out yourself, or you can look for an advisor somewhere and pay them a fund and such, or a sum, and they'll give you advice. But I am not licensed to do so. How high is the tax gains in the U.S.? I always have in my head like 30%, even though it's less. It really depends on your tax bracket, how you get taxed. But the capital gains is really in the sense of how much you earned. So it goes in brackets. Like if you made 0 to 10,000, there's a specific percentage. If you go like 10 to 20,000, there's another specific percentage. If you go to the IRS website for the US, I think it breaks it down for capital gains and how much you'll be taxed in that different bracket. So you can look into that. Is there another question, and then I'll get into your questions in the chat. Is there an indicator you must have and respect more than others? Negative. As you see my chart, I don't use indicators. To me, personally, in my extremely biased opinion, they're useless for me. For some people, they are extremely helpful. If it works for you, please keep on using it. I myself don't use it. I can't give insight on what works, what doesn't work, because I don't use it. So Hopefully that answered your question. All right, let's get back to everybody's questions in the chat. Let's go all the way up. Let's see. Kevin, if you're still in here, you asked, as soon as the market opens, do you still wait 15 minutes before you enter the trade? Negative. Kevin, in the options course, look at the options course update. I tell you how I trade now. That's how I used to trade. I used to wait 15 minutes. I don't do that anymore. So if my trade triggers in the first 2 minutes, I'm going to get in the first 2 minutes. Why do you trade the S&P 500? Why not US 100 or US 30 or U 2000? You like the price action there more, or is there other reasons? Well, I personally trade US 30. For futures, it's YM, the Dow Jones Industrial, which is what US 30 is based off of. So for me, YM moves pretty fast, but also the pullbacks aren't as crazy or detrimental to my account as US 100 or the NASDAQ or NQ. SPX 500 or US 500, it moves a little slow, but I used to trade SPX 500 or US 500. I just prefer US 30 now. It's really clean. It moves fast. It's comfortable for me. I also trade US 2000, but if US 30 or YM isn't doing anything. For those who don't know, US 2000 is RTY. Isn't the strat an indicator? Yes, in the sense that all it does is label the candles for you. It's not necessarily an indicator that tells you what to do, like RSI or VWAP or MACD, things like that, in that vein of indicator type. That's more so what I mean. So, but yes, you can consider the strat indicator as an indicator, just not in the conventional sense. I also use the SATI ATR indicator, which I have here on Thinkorswim, and I have a custom one in TradingView. This one you will not find because I customized the original one to get rid of the calls above and puts below, because I like my charts to look as clean as possible, and I already have my own levels. I don't need his levels. So if you do want the custom one, I'll post it in the pin message when we're done with this class in the other Discords that it's not in there for. All right. Let's see. I already answered the question about my watch list. I already answered. Jason, if you're still in here, I already answered the beginner question. Definitely go back in this video and we'll go over that. Ooh, before I forget, I made a poll on YouTube last month, or not last month, I think this week, about making a video going over option Greeks and the options chain. Would you guys prefer? Well, actually, I'll have that class next Sunday at 8 p.m. Eastern, same as this one, and I'll make like a thing like this where you can see it and like notify yourself. So in that class, we'll go over the option Greeks and understanding the options chain and things like that. So Sunday, 8 p.m. next week. Sound good for everybody? Let me know in the chat. All right, let's see. So Jason, if you're still in here, you asked what you should start trading or learning to trade. So like I mentioned, I'm teaching my cousin how to trade from scratch. He's trading futures. If I were to trade brand new as a trader, I would go the futures route because to me, it's pretty simple. I don't need that much money to make money for it. So something to keep in mind if you want to go that route as well. Let's see. Durian, if you're still in here, you said you have Wealthfront as my investment hub. Would you recommend that app or too hard for a beginner? I don't know what Wealthfront is. Like I mentioned, I use Thinkorswim with Schwab or Webull for options and stock, or you can use Tradeovate for futures. That's what I use. I don't use Wealthfront, so I can't tell you if it's easy or not. I don't know what that is. Let's see. I already answered that question. I already answered that question. Is being a funded futures trader is the way to go when starting with not much capital? I think I mentioned that earlier too, but I'll just refresh it. If you don't have that much money, you can use a funded account. Just make sure. Yeah, top step is you can use whatever prop you want. Just read their rules and see if it works for you and use whatever prop firm you want. What I would say is, like, for example, like I mentioned, for my cousin, I had him paper trade until he was consistent. Then I had him get the prop firm account because it doesn't make sense to even waste prop firm money if you don't know what you're doing. So keep that in mind. All right, let's see. Somebody mentioned as a beginner, how much success percent? Christina, I think you were asking what does that mean for Juan's comment about like the percent to like the success of going off my watch list. So Christiana, if you're in here and you don't know what that means, he just asked taking my trades off of my watch list if it's profitable, and the answer is yes, it is. So you're saying futures is better than options, Kevin? Yeah, because you don't need to learn about the. There's no option Greeks. There's no expiration date. It's just buying and selling, and that's it. So like I showed you guys earlier on the Bitcoin chart, let's go to the 1 minute. So similar to Bitcoin or regular stocks, you're either going to be buying or going long, or you're going to go short and selling, and that's it. You don't have to choose a contract or expiration date. Technically, yes, but not in the sense of options. You don't need to worry about theta, none of that. It's just buy and sell. That's it. Easy peasy. After a one-on-one, are you a mentor forever or just a one-time thing? Great question. So I'm more lenient in the sense of answering and talking more with people that are in my group than outside. If you book a session with me and you're not in my group, we can talk for 2 to 3 weeks. You can ask me a billion questions if you want between the 2 and 3 weeks after we have the session. Again, I tell everybody that forever. So if you're not in my group and you book a session, you have 3 weeks where you have me pretty much in your back pocket. You can ask me anything you want. You can ask me a billion questions. Don't ever feel like you're bothering me or bugging me. Like, I'm here to help you. So the more questions you give me, the more I can help you. If you are in my group, I'm more lenient in the sense of, you can keep on talking to me if you want to. So, if you book a session, I'll support you basically forever. If you're not in my group, you can, of course, still ask me questions after the 2 or 3 weeks after we go, after we go over things. Just maybe not as much like on a daily basis, but I'll still answer questions if you and I have worked together. That's fine. What indicator are you using that says trend in yellow? So this is the SATI ATR custom indicator. If you have TradingView, you can just look up SATI ATR. That's that. This specific Advent custom, that's just one that I just removed some code from his to remove the calls above and puts below. If you're in my group, you can go to the, I think it's in the scripts and indicators. Is it in here? Yeah, so I have it in here. You just click on this link and then it'll take you to this page. Favorite, add it to your favorites, and then go into TradingView, and then you'll see it in your indicator list. This is not going to come up if you just search it because it's private. Now, I'm going to post this in the other groups where you guys may be from. So don't worry about asking for it. How many people are in my paid group right now? And is there an active group chat? That's actually funny because Maria and I spoke about this yesterday. So in my group, there's about, how many people are in here now? Let's see. Members. Does it give me the total amount? Where is the total amount of people? Huh. I think on my phone it'll tell me. I'm not sure why it doesn't tell me easily on desktop. And there's about like 510 people. 518 people are in my group. To answer your question about if it's active, yes and no. So for me, I like to build self-sufficient traders. So when I work with people, I always tell them that when they are trading, not them in the group, not them and their friends. They're trading by themselves. So when they're done trading, then they can come and, we can all chat and stuff like that. So generally, it's pretty quiet in my group. My group has, from what I've seen, been the quietest of other groups that I'm in. I prefer it that way in the sense of it tells me that people are actually focusing on trading because, what I don't like, at least when I'm teaching people, if you're in the chats, we generally talk a lot in the futures den area, but generally I don't like people to spend too much time in the chat, especially if it distracts them, because if I'm going to go long and you're thinking of going short, you might not be confident anymore in your trade because you're getting influenced by the chat. So that's why I tell people, when you're trading, just trade what you're trading. Don't worry about the chat. Don't worry about what people are doing. Just focus on you. And then you can come and chat with us and, hey guys, I took this, or I'm looking at this, or whatever it may be. So if you trade the strat, it might be easier for you to take trades like if I mentioned something or if somebody else mentioned something that trades a strat, because we're all on the same page on what we're looking at. But if somebody's trading like ICT or other things, like me and my other buddy who run the group, we used to trade live together, and he trades ICT and I trade the strat. And what would happen during the lives is that I'll be like, I'm going to go long. And then he's like, well, I'm going to go short because that's what ICT is saying. And then people who are in there, they're getting mixed messages and they don't know what to do. So do we talk? Yes. Do we talk as much as other people or other groups? Definitely not. So my Discord is not necessarily a signals Discord. It's more so of an educational Discord where I aim to make you guys sufficient traders. While yes, signals are great. Signal groups are great to help you make money as you start learning and take signals from other traders who are profitable, so on and so forth. But just my group, I take a different approach where I want you to fish for yourself. So if you are looking for a signals group, my group is not that. Cool. Moving on. Let's see. Hey, Kevin, if you're still in here, do you still want me to go over the option Greeks or the chain? Cool. All right, let's go over that. Give me 1 sec. Let me pull this up. We'll just go over the course because it'll be easier for all of us to follow along. So let's preview this as if you were looking at it. And let's go to the slides. All right, let's go to the Greeks. You want me to go over the Greeks or the options chain or both? Good night, Maria. Thanks for coming out. We're probably going to keep on going for another half an hour. Yeah, I'll cut it off. Oh, it's already 10. We've been here for 2 hours. Sheesh. All right, half an hour, and then we'll cut this because I need to sleep, and I'm sure you guys need to as well. All right, so options chain, and I'll have like a full class next week as well, going over this. All right, so looking at the options chain, if you're using Webull, this is what it looks like on Webull. If you're using Thinkorswim, The options chain will be in the trade section. So this is the options chain for Thinkorswim. It's just not as clean as the example I'm showing you guys. So the days till expiration, if you don't know what that is, the days till expiration is how many days until that contract expires. If you're trading like a regular stock, it usually or almost always expires on a Friday. So you get weekly expirations. So when you see people say 0 DTE, that means that that contract is expiring that same day. If you see somebody say 1 DTE, that means it's expiring the next day or 1 day until expiration, and so on and so forth. So the expiration date is essentially whatever strike price we choose, which I'll go over next. If I choose a 155 strike and the stock price, if it's not above $155 on the expiration date, that contract's going to be worth nothing or 0. And the same thing as if you get a put and the price is not under the strike price, the contract is going to be worthless, or it's not going to be worth any, it's going to be at 0 or nothing at all, or a little bit, depending where it's at. The strike price is what we believe the stock is going to go towards. And of course, there's like at the money contracts, in the money, and out the money, which I'll go over in the next class next week. But essentially, the strike price is going to be the price that you think the stock is going to go towards. So if the stock is trading at $150, you think is going to go up, you can potentially choose 155 strike price, which is above the current price, or whatever price above you may want to choose for the strike. And then for a put, same thing. If the price is at 160 and you think it's going to go down, you can look at the 155 put to target that area, or whatever your target is based on the strategy that you use. The break-even price is the price that the stock must be at expiration to be worth something. And the break-even price is the strike price plus the premium that you paid. So for example, right here, we have 155, and let's say that we enter in this stock at this contract at 3.05, which is $3.05, or $305. So the break even is going to be the strike plus the premium, which gives us 158.05. So I think this was Apple. Apple needs to be on the day it expires at 158.05 or above at expiration for it to be worth something. And then the volume is just how many contracts were traded in that day's trading session. Open interest, pretty straightforward. It's just how many contracts people currently own that have not been sold yet. So how many contracts are in possession at that moment. Making sense? Any questions on that? If the option price falls below strike price and goes up again, did it already become worthless, or is everything irrelevant till date of expiration? Great question, West. So you don't need to hold the contract until expiration. If you have 10 days to go and it hits your target and you're green on the position, you can sell it and take that gain. You don't need to hold it until expiration. So if it goes in the money and you're green and it hit a target, you should probably be taking profit, and you shouldn't let that go red. So something to keep in mind of. Remember, the price of the stock doesn't have to go in the money. It just has to go in your favor and such. But I can hold a worthless option, which could go back to break even. Well, yeah, you can hold the worthless option. However, if the option is worthless, then that means you're not following risk management and you are not following your stop loss. Because if I'm getting in at $3, which is $300, and that goes to 0.01 or like $1, that means I'm down 99% on the position. So I would have been stopped out of that trade, like 30% maximum as a stop loss. That's what I use, depending on the setup. So can you hold a worthless option? Can it go back to break even? It can. Should you? Or would I? Definitely not. Because you're hoping and you're gambling. What does mid and last mean? So the mid price is just the price in between the bid and the ask. So the bid price, so the buyers want it at $3 and the sellers want it at 3.10. And the middle price between those two is 3.05. So it's just the price in the middle of the bid and ask. And the last, that means the last price that it traded at. So the last price that somebody traded this contract was at 310, which is the ask price. If somebody sold it or bought it at 3.00, the last price would have been 3.00. Let's see. What's a good volume and open interest? That really depends on what you're trading. Some have more open interest, some don't. It's subjective to what you're trading because SPY, let's actually look at SPY. So this is, let's go to SPY's contract. And let's look for the contract that's expiring tomorrow, 1 DTE. When tomorrow comes, it's going to be a 0 DTE because it's expiring tomorrow. So as we can see, this is the open interest on all these contracts. Me personally, I just go for at the money contract. So if the stock price is trading at 554 and I'm looking for calls, I'll probably do a 555 strike. I don't really care to go for out the money because while there is more open interest, the likelihood that it may hit that is very low. And I'm not really going to get much return dollar-wise. So subjectively speaking, of course, I'm not going to go into too much detail right now. But generally, I like to go for at-the-money contracts, at least 2 or 3 strike prices out from the current stock price when I get triggered in. You can also do in the money if you want. But generally, like we can see that the average on SPY is above 1,000. I would say even maybe above 2,000 in some cases. So you may want to look for contracts that have 1,000 or more as guidance. Like this one that's under 1,000, these under 1,000, maybe not look for those. Sir, you know a website where I can see what you see, but not in Thinkorswim, and specifically, I'll be interested to see US 30 options expiring. Great question. I'm not too sure where to see this besides Thinkorswim or like Webull or other trading platforms. You might need to consult whatever platform you use, or that, and specifically that trades futures. US 30s for Forex, I don't think it's going to show that to you because US 30 doesn't have options. It's just US 30 for Forex. But yeah, I'm not sure what a website is where you can find that data, unfortunately. All right, let's see. Next question. Oh, right. I forgot the next part. Yeah, if you use a CFD, you're not going to see the options because there's no expiration date on the CFD. It's just continuous. All right, so the Greeks, the next portion, and then we'll go over to the next questions. So the option Greeks, which people tend to get confused about, the delta is essentially how much the stock price is going to move for or against us, or how much is going to get added to the premium of the contract when it goes for or against us. So for every dollar that the stock price moves for or against us, we're more or less, let's say for this example, if Apple moves $1 for us and we bought calls, it's going to go roughly $57 added to the price that we got. So if we got it at $3 and it goes $1 in our favor on the stock price, we're going to make $57 approximately. If it goes against us by $1 on the stock price, we're going to lose $57 more or less on the contract price that we paid. The gamma is how much the delta increases by for every dollar it goes in our favor. So as we can see here, if Apple goes up $1, instead of it being 57, it's going to be 62 now if we get $5 added to this price here. And then theta, and the same thing in opposite. If the stock price goes $1 against us, it's going to reduce $5 from the delta. So the theta is how much the contract loses value every day that you have it. So if the stock price doesn't do anything, just by holding this contract, I'm going to lose $19 that day. It's going to lose $19 in value. So keep that in mind. And the closer you get to expiration, the bigger the theta number is going to be. Or it's going to increase as you get closer to the expiration date. So the vega is how much our contract increases or decreases when IV or implied volatility increases by 1%. So the vega here is $8 or 0.08, it's 8 cents or $8. The IV or implied volatility is 30%. So if this goes to 30% to 31%, $8 is going to be added to our contract. If the IV goes to 29%, we're going to lose $8 of value. So for those people who have ever traded earnings and you're like, oh, I'm in the money, why did I lose so much money? It's because the IV before earnings is juiced or is jacked up. The IV might be like 90% right before earnings releases. And then as soon as earnings releases, nobody cares anymore about the stock because the move already happened after earnings. So it's going to plummet the IV. So IV can go from 30% to 90%. And then after the earnings come out, it'll go from 90 to 30. So let's say, for example, if we're at 90% and it goes all the way back to 30 at $8 a percent, let's say 60% times 8, that's $480. So if this was at 90% and it went back to 30 after earnings passed, you got IV crushed. So this is pretty much just worthless at zero because there was so much IV removed from the contract. Making sense? Questions on that? Cool. And some examples, like I mentioned, like if it goes for us, if the stock price is 100 and it goes to 101, our contract is going to increase by $57. If we're at 100, then it goes down by $1. It's going to decrease our contract by $57 as an example. So hopefully that helped. All right, next questions. Is there a best thing to trade for futures like NASDAQ, gold, or what to pick when starting out? Jason, if you're still here or if you're watching the replay, like I mentioned earlier, that answer is going to be in your journal. So based on your journal, when you're paper trading and you're experimenting, you find out what works best for you. For me, YM works fantastic. All right, let's go to more questions. Let's see. What are the best times to be watching the market if I have a job that's a 9 to 5 on my hour lunch at 12 p.m.? Is my lunchtime a perfect time to trade or what? So great question, Durian. That goes back to your journal, when the best time to trade is. For me, thank you, Wes. I appreciate that. For me, it really depends on, it depends on what exactly I'm going to, well, let me take a step back. I was thinking about 1,000 things there. Most of my money based on my journal is in the first half of the day or the morning session of the New York session. I only trade from 9:30 a.m. Eastern to 12 noon based on my journaling and what my journaling has told me. When I trade in the afternoon, I usually lost money or did bad. So I just stopped doing that. And something to note, if you're new to trading, people tend to think, oh, if I trade all day, I'm going to make more money, which in reality, in my opinion, that's the opposite because you're using more mental energy and you're draining yourself. So for me, I just trade only 2.5 hours a day, and that's it. Most of my days, if my first 4 hour trigger trade hits properly, according to the plan, I'm done in 20, 30 minutes, even as quick as 10 minutes, I'm done for the day. It really depends. So in your case, Durian, based on your job, it may be a little challenging for you if you're trying to day trade and how interactive you need to be at your job. If you work from home or if you have like a desk job, it may be easier to manage or trade in that sense. At my old job, I used to work at AT&T, so it was easy for me because, if we had downtime when customers weren't there, I'd just be on my phone looking at trades. But you have to kind of navigate it depending on what you do. If you can't day trade, you can look into swing trading. So, you can let those trades cook while you're working. Sarika, you mentioned, do you usually trade only on the 4 hour time frame? I answered that question earlier. I trade on the 4 hour if I'm day trading for my first trade. If it's a gap up or down, I look for a TTO on the 5 or 15 minute. And then I have other setups that I look for that I'll take on the 5, 15 minute, 30 minute, and 1 hour. If I'm swing trading, the daily and weekly time frame is what I use. Let's see. So besides the option stuff and the questions I asked, I mostly knew everything you explained most of myself, but yet I feel like I barely know anything. How can I fix that? It's my second year trading. Well, a question for you, West. What exactly do you need help with? What are you trying to fix? And while you're answering that question that I asked you, I'm gonna see if there's any other questions here. Oh, looks like I got to most of them. Oh, Kevin, for your question on when I'm going to teach the future stuff in the course, I'm actually making it right now. I'm assuming that's what you mentioned. I'm making the futures part of the course. I'll probably release it in 2 to 4 weeks, and I'll email everybody when I've updated the course with the future section. I'm familiar with the strat. Is it easy to transition to the futures? Absolutely. So the same way you saw that I trade using options with the strat is the same way I use it to trade with futures. In your case, you just have to get familiar with how to trade futures and how to make it work. You can paper trade futures on Webull as well. Or yeah, you can paper trade on Webull. So you can practice there. Let's see. So you do trading books, Reddit, YouTube to soak up info. So I think the thing for you, West, is that you're soaking up a lot of information, but you haven't simplified it for yourself. You need to simplify all the information that you have learned or gone over and kind of just keep it uniform. Because that's what I've learned in my trading career. Keep it simple. I know a bunch of stuff. I know strat, I know RSI, EMA crossovers, all these different strategies. But really, it's like, all right, how can I simplify this for myself? And the simplest way that I've made it for myself, like I mentioned to you guys, my main trades every day is the 4 hour trigger. If it gaps up or down, then I just look for a TTO on the 5 or 15 minute. And that's it. Keep it simple. You can even do what I just mentioned as a foundation for you to help. It just might be a little challenging if you are trading futures like CFDs or Forex, because there is no New York trading session. It's just like London, New York, Asia, like all together in electronic hours. So you'll see like the whole chart as opposed to just New York. But you can just focus on that. Look for just 2 or 3 setups and just only look for those. And then practice that for 2-3 weeks. See how your win rate is, etc., and how much you're making, how much you're losing, and then you could refine your system from there. So that's what I would tell you. With everything that you've made, just really just simplify and just bring it down. Make it easy for yourself. So what I would tell you guys, I give the foundation for students. What I do, the 4 hour trigger, and look for TTOs. That's it. That's the foundation. 2 setups, or technically 3 or 4 setups. And that's it. Keep it simple. Then, then from what I gave you, from there, you can add your own setups that you may want to look for. So for some examples, like I mentioned, let's go back here. So in my YouTube channel, I have some, if you're not in my group, you can go to the playlist where I have playbook setups. So I have the W trade model. That's another one of my setups. The Momo hammer, Momo shooter, that's more of a strat setup. The TTO, like I mentioned, and then there was a chart and chill when I think I talked about like building your system, and the kid and play trade model. So those are other trade models that I have besides the 4-hour and the TTO setups that I add to my playbook. So you can look into some of that material there to give you guys some guidance besides the foundation that I just gave you. I have a student where the only thing he trades, well, as far as I know, I think he adds like one other thing. He has two setups. He trades the 4-hour, similar to how I do, and then he trades like another ICT concept. I forget exactly what it is, but that's all he does, and he's good. We've been working together for a month and a half now. I worked with him at the end of June, and at the end of July, he passed 7 prop accounts, and he has, I think, at this point, 2 or 3 payouts pending to get paid out. He's never been paid out. So in 1 month, he did fantastic, and I simplified it for him because similar to you, West, he was all over the place. I'm like, we have to bring it down. You have to simplify your process because you're trying to do a million things at once. Again, let's bring it down. Let's see, Majobu. Hopefully that's how you pronounce your name, Majobu. If not, let me know so I can pronounce it correctly. I like to give people the respect of pronouncing your name correctly. Let's see. Futures seems too good to be true compared to options. What's the disadvantage when trading futures that's not on options trading? So for futures, it's not necessarily too good to be true because I trade both. I trade options and futures. To me, for futures, it's just less thinking because I don't need to worry about the options. I don't need to worry about the expiration date or the strike price or the delta or the Greeks. It's just buying or selling, and that's it. Easy peasy. Now, for futures, a disadvantage is that I can't, well, not that I can't, is that I can't swing trade as easily as I may want to, like for options. So for options, it's easy to swing trade because I could put $200 in a trade to swing. For futures, it's different. For futures, you need the margin requirements to swing trade. So for example, futures guide, let's go to margin requirements. So for example, let's say you want to trade the micro S&P 500 futures contract. To day trade it, you just need to have $50, or in this case, you at least double $50 in the account to day trade per contract. To swing it overnight, you need to have $1,518. So the amount that you need is this much to swing trade it. I personally would never swing trade futures because if there's a big gap up or down, and it's like a big gap up or down, you're going to lose a lot of money. It's going to blow through your stop loss because, you know, when the market opens in that gap up or down, your stop loss gets ran through. Not only that, for those who are still in that maybe in the Hungries group, and when Brown was talking about this, if there's a circuit breaker and the market gets frozen, you're on the hook for the notational value of that contract, which is in the upwards of $100,000s, depending what you're trading. So to me, it's definitely not worth it, in my opinion, to swing trade futures. I would only ever day trade them. If you want to swing trade futures, you can look into Forex where you can swing trade the CFD components where you don't need these crazy margin requirements for that. So you can look into that if you did want to swing trade the future equivalent in the CFD Forex world. Cool. All right. So yeah, Majobu, that's what I like about futures compared to options, stuff like that. Let's see. West said, I think the biggest and only disadvantage of futures, yeah, like you mentioned, the big margin requirements that we just mentioned right now. The liquidity is super good for futures. The liquidity is also great for options as well. It just depends on what you're trading. So there's that. All right, we're like over this class an hour and a half, but there was a bunch of great questions. There was the section of, let me bring this up. There was a section about like struggles that you guys had. I'll quickly go over these in the next 10 minutes, and then I'll ask you guys a question, and then we'll wrap up and go to bed. So somebody asked, they struggled about pulling out too early. They have a small account, so they can't use multiple contracts. For me, if I'm using a small account, if it's my first target, I'm just going to take profit there because you're at a disadvantage with a small account. So you need to grow it slowly. If it's my first target, I'm just going to take profit there and just wait for the next setup and continue going there. So there's that. And until you get your account to a bigger amount, you can't really be having runners. So you just have to take the L for now and just slowly build your account that way. What are the other Discords you are in other than your paid one? I'm in a lot of Discords that I support. So mine is the Cerulean Trading Group. One of my mentors, or where I met most of my strat mentors, they're in the Hungries group. One of my other mentors, Trust, I'm in his group. Stock Kings Chart, I support his group. Moments, I support his group. Divine, I support their group. I support Uptrade. I support Arcane. I support Lediddle. And I think there's some other groups in here that I like half support. So there's a lot of other groups that I'm helping support besides mine. All right, cool. Let's go back to these. So finding the right entry always seemed to be too late in trades and chasing due to FOMO. So like I remember, if you are in here and you ask that question, the strat can help you in getting the right entries, and FOMO should never be a thing because if it's a trend day, a TTO is going to form. You just need to wait for it. So that can help you with that. Not knowing when to buy or sell or what to buy or sell, I can't answer that question for you. You need to experiment and see what works best for you. 70% win rate, but still losing due to risk management. So remember, risk management, that's on you. You can read all these books and you can really determine what works best for you. And well, I'll explain this in a little detail because this is a loaded question that I can answer in excruciating detail, but I'll just give you a little insight. So first of all, the simplest answer to that question is stop oversizing and respect your stop loss. That's the simple answer to that question. And it's really as simple as that. The challenge here is why are you over leveraging? Why are you not respecting your stop loss? And there's a billion reasons that can be. I'll just throw an example. Let's say you lost a lot of money and you want to get that money back. So you're sizing in big to get that money back. That's a problem because, like I said, the money comes from the system. It doesn't come when you're focusing on money. So like I tell everybody, you need to turn off your P&L because your P&L is irrelevant to your trading plan. Your P&L did not get you into the trade. The chart got you into the trade. So focus on the chart and focus on what the chart is telling you. If the chart is saying take profit, take profit. If the chart is saying get stopped out, respect the stop loss, take the loss gracefully and move on. Don't get married to a trade. So again, you have to do some work there and see why you're over leveraging and why you're using, you're not respecting your stop or whatever it may be. I'm not sure if you're in here to give me more insight. So, that's a loaded question, like I mentioned. So you need to journal and be honest with yourself. What is the root cause of why you're over leveraging and why you're not respecting your stop loss? And you can start there. If you do need some help in uncovering that, you're more than welcome to book a session with me. However, I do encourage you guys to book a discovery call, which is free. So you and I can talk to see if I can help you and see where you're at. Because, you might not be a good fit for me, or I might not be a good fit for you. So definitely recommend getting a discovery call with me. Let me post it in where do I have that link? Is it in here? There we go. All right, I'm gonna post this in the chat. It's also in the description of all my videos where it says if you want to work with me, click on this link. That's my Calendly link. You can book a free discovery call if you want to work with me so I can see where you're at. You can see how I can help you, so on and so forth. And if we're a good fit, we'll continue from there. The discovery call is 30 minutes, and we'll talk from there. All right, moving on. Let's see. Finding viable times to exit. Again, my exits are based on the chart. I don't just take profit off an hour later just because. If it's whatever the chart tells me. This doesn't tell me much. It just says stop loss. Again, I went over that earlier, and I have videos on my YouTube channel talking about stop losses. Selling good trades too early at a loss right before they turn around. So to me, that just sounds like you may not have good entries. You may need to do some research and based on your journals and see what your good setups are, which ones aren't, so on and so forth. And only take the good ones. If you don't even know what that is, you have to go back to paper trading and back test and see what works for you. Now, what this is telling me is that you're getting in at a not good entry, and either your stop loss may be too tight or it might not be at a proper point, and then it stops you out and continues going in your favor. Sometimes you'll get a perfect trade, a perfect entry, a perfect trading plan, and it'll still stop you out. That happened to me on Friday or Thursday. I forgot what day. That trade annoyed me. I think it was Friday. I was trading YM. It stopped me out by 2 ticks. By 2 ticks, it stopped me out. And then it went 100 points in my favor and hit my targets. I was super annoyed on that trade. I had to go and take a quick walk to relax because that one got me salty. Do you ever miss take profit by a few pips or points and hit stop loss instead? Yep, definitely do. And for me, for my specific trades when I'm trading futures, it's all based on the chart. So if it doesn't hit the target, then it's a losing trade because it wasn't a valid trade because it didn't hit the first target. So yes, that happens to me. Again, when it happens, like I mentioned in the beginning of this class, your trading psychology is going to be important because even though I was annoyed when it stopped me out by 2 ticks, the old me would have gotten back in that trade and revenge traded. So, now I understand it is what it is. Take the L. There's going to be more trades. Who cares? Move on. Don't marry the trade. Is there a way to manually exit and see this ahead of time? Well, if you had a crystal ball, yeah, you can definitely see if the trade is going to go against you. But can you exit the trade manually? Absolutely. John, what do you trade? Futures, options, stock, Forex? And so I can better answer that question. Forex stops in crypto? Well, for Forex, you just close the position manually. Same thing for stocks and same things for crypto. Just close the position manually if you think it's reversing before, it's hit the target. One thing that I would mention, my second mentor, the biggest thing that him and I spoke on was learn your trading platform. Learn how to use your platform, because you don't want to be in a trade and you don't know how to get out. That's the worst thing you want, or how to navigate it and stuff like that. All right, let's see. Other questions? Yeah, or they turn around, or you wait too long and you think it's a confirmation, but I get faked out and the trade goes the wrong way. Again, I don't know what strategy, whoever this is, what you trade, so I can't really give you insight on that. All I can tell you, like for the strat, if I'm getting in on the TTO, my parameters or requirements for it to be a TTO for me to get in, the daily, the 4 hour, and the 1 hour have to be triggered in the same direction. So if the daily, the 4 hour, and the 1 hour are bullish, and then I'm on the 5 minute and it's going to reverse back bullish on the TTO, to me, that's a valid entry for me. That's the confirmation that I need. I can't really answer for you. Consistency, ladies and gentlemen, like I say, please be as specific as you can, because consistency tells me absolutely nothing. Consistency is very vague. I can speak on a billion things about consistency. So please be more specific. Consistency in following your rules, consistency in taking your good trades, consistency in your life to help your trading. I can talk about this in many different angles, so I just need more specifics to help you. So I'll skip that. Patterns and not enough time to trade. Again, you can look into swing trading, or I would look into swing trading. Patterns, you can look at my playbook section in my YouTube channel, or if you're in my group, you can see my other trades besides what I mentioned already for the 4 hour and the 5 TTO stuff. No, not knowing what to learn. Like I mentioned in the beginning of this class, the strat is good for beginners because it's based on price action. There's no indicators that you need. It's just price action on the chart. And the candlestick Bible for absolute basics. Buying at the right time and selling at the right time. I already went over that earlier. Stop loss calculations. You can watch my risk management video for more details on that. What news do I look out for when trading? Great question. So as you see in my watch list, I always add news. You can reference the Market Watch as well as Forex Factory. Whatever is red that says USD is what you want to look out for. That's high impact news. So for example, this is FOMC. Well, this is the minutes meeting. This is like a recap of what happened in the last FOMC meeting. It's a high impact. So if you're in a trade at 2 p.m., you might get volatility. We have PMI data on Thursday, red folder, 9:45 a.m. Eastern. So in this case here, if you have a trade, be mindful that can spike the trade against you or for you. I never trade news because to me, that's gambling. It can be good news and it can go against you, or it can be good news and it can go for you. It's literally 50-50 in my opinion. Some people say they know what direction it's gonna go. Great, that's not me. I don't trade news. So the orange and the red ones are ones that you should be looking out for. If you trade oil, you need to be looking for, I think on Wednesdays and Thursdays, usually Wednesdays, the crude oil inventories, 10:30 a.m. Eastern. So if you're trading oil and you're in that trade, you're going to get a big spike. So keep in mind for that. But big ones, FOMC, unemployment claims, CPI, PPI data, retail sales, a lot of those things are things that you should look for. If Jerome Powell is talking this Friday at 10 a.m., I'm probably not going to trade because I don't like when he talks and I trade. He can say something and it can spike up or down. I'm good. I don't like to trade when Uncle Powell is talking. The only constant thing in this life is inconsistency. I'm gonna make a video soon about like essential life practices or habits that can help your trading, that my life coach helped me with, that helped my trading, which I'll share with you guys. Probably maybe sometime next month. I think I'm gonna release it. Yeah, next sometime next month. It'll be titled Essential. What do I have the title at, or the working title right now in my notes? Let's see. Essential activities to improve your trading. What do I have it as? Is it in this one? I forgot where I put it. It's somewhere. Anyway, basically titled the essential activities to improve your trading. That's the working title for now. You'll see it when I release it. Just so you guys can like have good habits in your normal lives that can translate into your trading. Because if you're undisciplined in your normal life, you're gonna be undisciplined in your trading life. I'll tell you that from experience. So we'll go over that in more detail. Cool. All right. Any last things to go over before we wrap up? Let's go back to this. Which apps, sites are the best to monitor the market and get notifications, and how this will affect my taxes at the end of the year? How do I determine potential risks in purchasing stocks for any company? So, it's a loaded question, but I'll try to make it simple. How many hours a day do I sleep? Anywhere between 6 to 9 hours, preferably 8 to 9 hours. I need my sleep. So I usually wake up anywhere between 7 and 8 a.m. Usually 7 a.m., my body wakes up by itself. And I try to go to bed by 11, which is the next 20 minutes, which is not going to happen. But I try to go to bed the latest, like at midnight. So I at least get 7 hours. If I get less than that, I'm going to be like sleepy and groggy. I don't like it. For those who can sleep on 4 hours or less and function, shout out to you. And I don't drink coffee or take energy drinks. So there's that. All right. Which app sites are best to monitor the market? Again, I use Thinkorswim. You can use TradingView. You can use Webull, whatever works for you. In the terms of the taxes, I'm not a tax professional, so speak to your tax professional for more insight into that. I'm going to have a class with an attorney and a tax professional that has been a tax professional and attorney for more than 40 years, or yeah, more than 40 years. I'm not sure exactly when. I was supposed to have it this weekend, but I got busy. He got busy. So we're going to work on that course or that class together. And I'll make an announcement once he and I are ready to have that class. We'll be going over taxes, trusts, things like that. Pretty much anything related to taxes and trading, and even things outside of trading, taxes related, that you can ask him. So, when we finish that, I'll put it out there for you guys to attend. How do I determine the potential risks in purchasing stocks for any company I am looking to invest in? Well, you can look at their balance sheet. Are they making money? Are they not making money? What are their goals for the future? What are they working on? Things like that. Those are good things that you can look into. You can look at their SEC filings. I think it's the 10K or the 10Q. I forget which one it is. It tells you like all the information, their balance sheet, the purpose, if it's a ETF or fund, what they're looking to do, if it's a regular stock, what they're looking for in the future. A lot of information that you can find in the SEC filings. So you can look at that. Learning the lingo beginner. I already went over that earlier. Being trapped on the wrong side or false breakdown, a spike and stop loss trigger. So again, for that trade, if it is your setup and you get stopped out, it is what it is. Take the L, move on. If not, you have to refine and go back to the study board and refine your setups, or look for different setups that work better than what you're currently doing. So you can try that out. All right. We got through everything, I believe. Yeah, we got through everything. Excellent. All right. What was everybody's biggest takeaway from today's session? You can type it in the chat. The biggest thing you learned today, or the biggest takeaway that you'll take from today's class? Trading P&L? Well, you don't trade your P&L. You turn your P&L off and you don't look at it at all. That's my answer to trading P&L. Turn it off, don't look at it, it's irrelevant. Oh, gotcha, Isaiah. Yeah, we're literally just ending now. But once I end the stream, you can just refresh the page and it'll let you go through the whole class again. So the same link that you guys use to join is the same one that you can use to watch the replay. And it'll also be posted in the, when you go to my channel and you go to play, live, it'll be posted in the live section. I'm also going to add it to the playlist in the Let's Learn series. So every series that I've done like this, it's going to be in here. I try to organize my YouTube channel as best as I can because I have so many different topic videos. But yeah, for trading P&L, don't do that. Turn off your P&L. It's irrelevant to your trading plan. The only time I look at my P&L is when I'm journaling. I'm like, oh, cool. All right, I made this much money today, or I lost this much money today. Yeah, Kevin, futures definitely might be the way to go. It could be a lot easier for you. Message me on the side and we'll talk about it. Let's see. John mentioned following up with a strategy and not letting emotions get in the way. Definitely, John. One thing to mention that I want to mention about emotions and trading, you'll see on the internet where people will be like, get rid of your emotions and you'll be a good trader. That is impossible. We're emotional beings. We are human beings. We're emotional creatures. You cannot escape from your emotions. What you can do is learn to manage them with emotional regulation techniques, different things like that. So, again, you don't want to eliminate your emotions because you can't do that. You want to learn to manage them. Like I mentioned earlier, when that YM trade stopped me out by 2 ticks, I was super annoyed. The old me would have gotten back into the trade as a revenge trade. But now I already know, even though I feel this way, that's okay because I'm human. I followed my process, and it's okay if I take the loss. It is what it is. I follow the trading plan. Let me go for a walk. Let me do my breathing practice. Let me just chill. And I'll just wait for the next setup. And that's all I can do. Hey, thanks, Kevin. I appreciate that. And your words. Yeah, Louis V is one of my current students, so him and I are working together. Let's see. Another biggest takeaway. The biggest thing I actually learned new was a bit better understanding the option Greeks and the other things. Yeah, definitely. I'm glad you took that away from today's session, West. Raivash, hopefully that's how you pronounce your name. If not, let me know, please, because I like pronouncing people's names correctly and giving you that respect. So you learn lots of new things as you're literally a noob in trading. Hey, great to have you with us. I have these classes once a month, usually the third Sunday of the month. I'll have the Let's Learn series. What I'm probably going to do for the future ones, because we've been here for 2 hours and a half, I didn't expect this to be this long. I'm probably going to start the class at 7 p.m. as opposed to 8 because I like my sleep. Anyway, do I have a video going over TTOs? Yes. If you go to the strat section, so if you go into the strat, there's a where it says what is a TTO and how to trade it. It's in that playlist. Or if you go into playbook setups, I also have it here. What is a TTO and how to trade it? So in those two sections. Also, Raivash, I have every Friday at 7 p.m. Eastern, I have a trade recap session where I go over my trades and I go over your trades to give you feedback. And yeah, definitely paper trade until you understand what you're doing. You don't want to use your real money as you're practicing. Sweet. All right. Hey, it was great being here with you guys and answering all your questions. You know, as you guys can see, I love this stuff. If I could, I'll be here with you guys for 5 more hours, but I want to respect your time. I want to sleep and I need to respect my time and my schedule. So again, I appreciate you guys for coming out, asking all your questions. Yeah, Raivash, I usually ping it on the trade recap on Fridays for in Divine as well, so you can join it. Or also, if you haven't already, definitely subscribe to my channel. And if you hit the little notification, little like bell icon, it'll tell you when I'm having these classes, so you can be notified as well. But yeah, all right, cool. Appreciate you guys. If you, hey Wes, you know, definitely appreciate you being here so early. So thank you for that. If you ever do want to work with me, just hit me up on the side and I'll hook you up with a deal, because I like working with people who, you know, put in the effort and put in the work. What I don't like is lazy people. There was a post on Reddit. Some guy asked me, hey, can you help me or can anybody help with risk management? And I posted a video, 55 minutes long. It took me 4 years to condense that information into an hour. And he's like, oh, can you summarize it for me? Absolutely not. Lazy. I don't like lazy. If you cannot even watch a video for 55 minutes that I spent 4 years trying to make it simple for you guys to understand, then you're not serious. And I don't want to work with you. That's how I am anyway. Anyway, moving on, before I go into a tangent about lazy people. Thank you guys again for coming out. We will definitely talk again. If you do want to work with me, please book a discovery call, which is a free 30-minute call with me, so I can see where you're at and I can see if I can help you and if we're a good fit for each other. Other than that, I appreciate you guys. All those links will be in the description of this video and all my other videos. And any questions at all, you guys are more than welcome to send me a message or DM me on Discord, Reddit, or wherever you know me from, and I'll respond. And we will go from there. Have a good night, everybody, and be up bright and early for the market. I'll see ya. Good night.